Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, and we are back with another Real Housewives of Potomac review. I want to start off by saying that production is messy because the flashbacks that they showed us in this episode of times where Wendy did not speak to Giselle made no sense. Don't show me a flashback of Wendy not speaking to her at an event as a comparison to Giselle not doing this when it's clear that in this instance, this is Wendy's event. Make it make sense. To me, it is clear that production has their favorites, and in order for this thing to work, one of the things that they need to do is to stop operating the way that they are. But let's go ahead and begin. Giselle and Ashley meet up to go shopping for their G&A brand. They're picking out different fabrics for their line, and we find out that Ashley invited Mia and that Giselle invited Robin, in my opinion, to talk crap about the trip through the guise of selecting fabrics selections, because it doesn't take any time for them to go from talking about creating pants that mask different sweat that occurs both in their cookie and in their booties to them talking about Siri instantly. So Mia says if Karen wanted to extend an invite, then she should have done it in the first place, which I agree. Robin says you can't extend one with 12 hours notice and then flip it on us like we did something wrong. I agree. Ashley tells her, the bus ride was interesting. And one of the things that did come up was how Karen was bothered, Mia, by your response. Because if Ashley is going to do anything, she's going to carry that bone. We find out that all the ladies, as well as men, with the exception of Nneka's husband, are invited to Wendy's husband's event. I'm going to guess that this was because production encouraged Wendy to do this. Also because they're supposed to throw a certain amount of events, and this is just an event that Wendy could chop off of her list. But it was weird for her to invite Giselle, and I was surprised that Giselle came. But given that Giselle didn't meet the other one, she was probably told like she strongly needs to come. So we see Nneka, who is working on her sparkling wine. Lebe comes over so they can talk about Wendy and this event that's supposed to be coming up. Another friend comes over too. For some reason, Nneka acts surprised by these different arrivals at her home, like this was not something that was planned. They talk about this unpacking party and if Lebe will be comfortable if Wendy comes. I don't quite understand why. And I think I said this last video. If I didn't, I'm gonna say it now. I don't understand why Nneka would want Wendy in her home. If you feel that someone put your name in a shrine, if you feel that their mother is a witch, if you feel that their mother threatened your life, why would you want to bring them into your safe space? It's not like you guys are meeting up at an event. This is your home. This is your place of peace. Even though right now it's a lot of disarray going on, that's supposed to be your place of peace. Leve says, if you go, understand that it's her event, so it's her territory. So be careful. It's really not that deep. We see Candace. Candace is busy traveling, so she says, and learning her lines. And production shades her because they show how long it's been since she's either traveled or had some type of production for her acting. But she is currently, so she says, working on lines for Hush. So she won't be able to stay the entire party. I don't think that Candace should have left her husband, especially because she literally showed up, said hi, and left. We see Wendy and Eddie. It's time for the event. Eddie and Wendy are greeted by Hope and Brian, which are going to be Eddie's business partners. We are told about they're going to be carrying 3 different strands. The first one is called Energize Eddie. Then you're going to have Mellow Eddie. Then you're going to have Zen Wen. I think the concept is cute. It's also cute that he included her in on it. We find out that they're not going to be rolling actual cannabis because they don't want to scare anybody off. And part of me wonders if it's because they're on actual television and maybe they weren't allowed to put this on TV, because it kind of seems whack to me that you would have a rolling party where they can't actually practice with the product. But then at the same time, I think that the product, the way that Candace was talking, was in those to-go boxes and stuff that they had. So Wendy is disappointed because she thought she would get a chance to be Zen Wen with her 33% THC product. Candace, as I said, walks in with Chris, walks out with her box in tow. Ashley then walks in and she seems bothered by Chris, according to her. Chris has no place, according to her, in her realm. And it's crazy to me how the flashbacks that show Ashley being rude to Chris, Ashley being an ass to Chris, for some reason still has her mad at him. But we're not going to call that out. We're just going to quickly flash that and act like Ashley has a legitimate reason to be upset with Chris, when Ashley and her husband have done far worse to other people. Karen arrives with Matt and shakes hands with Mia. She lets Mia know that she wasn't second string, that the whole thing with the invite, she was a backup. They throw shots at each other. Nneka arrives while this is going on and looks to Wendy and says, "Thank you for the invite." There are times where I do not care for Nneka, but I appreciate her entering this situation and at least speaking to the host of the event, unlike what Giselle did, which further shows how she is able to get away and not be called out on her stuff. We see Karen again, and she says that after her and Mia hugged, that she thought that they were going to be in a better place. Karen, I need for Karen to understand that Mia does have a reason to be annoyed with the invite, even though this to me got escalated to a point where it didn't need to be. Mia says, "You're an old dog who needs to find some new tricks." Karen, on the other hand, was ready for her though, because Karen said, "You're the trick." I said, "Come on, Grand Dame." She sure is. Giselle then enters like it's her party and speaks to everyone but the hostesses, I should say, because she doesn't speak to Eddie, and she directly comes right beside Wendy and doesn't speak to her, and she doesn't speak to Chris, to the point where even when it was time to sit at the table, she acts like if Chris sat beside her, she was scared. I don't like that she can continue to throw this narrative. Wendy says how she can come to my event and not even say hi to me. Production then shows clips where Wendy didn't speak to Giselle. But the clips, as I said earlier, made no sense because they weren't Giselle's events. Production is trying hard to erase the fact that Giselle started this whole thing with Wendy. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've only watched certain parts of the different seasons once Monique left. But in season 6, did Giselle not share rumors that were unfounded about Eddie cheating? Then in season 7, Wendy approached Giselle despite all of that, tried to give her a hug, and Giselle ignored her, snubbed her, avoided her, whatever you want to call it. Where were those clips? Instead, you show us these other clips that are biased and make it seem like Wendy is just ignoring Giselle for no reason. Giselle, then, who should not be commenting on Chris, laughs and talks about he gained weight and that maybe he needs to stop stress eating. But we're supposed to feel bad about this woman who feels like her life is in danger because of the comments that were made across social media in regards to the situation and the things that were said by Candace and the things that were said by Chris, when she continues to have her own little digs and laugh about it. How scared is Giselle really for her to still sit here in confessionals and talk about this man? We see Eddie thank everyone and lets them know that this is $1 billion industry. According to Mia, she hasn't known Eddie to have a job since she met him, and she's just never known an attorney who's always available. And I need for Mia to be quiet because I've met several of them, some of which are in my family. They work hard and they play harder. Their availability depends on, I don't know, their caseload or the type of law that they practice. And since she's so busy worrying about Happy Eddie and him being an attorney and him needing to get this because he doesn't have another job, apparently because he's not working a lot, what exactly is Mia's job? What exactly is Gordon's job? Gordon has all these supposed meetings and stuff, but yet they had to downsize significantly from where they were before and that huge thing to where they are now. They begin the class with oregano. Wendy thanks them because she said it's been a long time since they've been in this place because you hear laughter and all that other stuff, and there isn't a lot of drama. Giselle, who is laughing at one point, then asks in confessional if she laughed. You laughed. You laughed when you walked in the door, and you laughed when they showed the different receipts of you laughing. For once, they showed something. We then see Gordon leave. He talks to me about how he's going to go because he has to do his conference call. And then as he leaves, you hear Robin saying, I meant to ask you about how things are going with you, you know. And Mia says that, you know, marriage is hard with him sometimes. And there have been times where she wants to leave. But at this point, his family has checked out and all he has is her. You then see Nneka ask Wendy if they could step to the side. And Nneka thanks her again for inviting her. She would like some one-on-one time with Wendy. Wendy says, I don't understand why you want to do this now. And I'm like, okay, Wendy, you're making it hard for me to be on your side when you do things like this. She's doing it now because you told her the last time that you all had this conversation when she tried to invite you to her unpacking party that she skipped several steps. So this is her trying to take a step. Wendy says, I just want to make sure that you're sincere and it's going to take some time for me to process it. Now, that's fair because a lot was said about her mom. So I can't blame Wendy for not having the desire to sit down and talk with her one-on-one. But I also struggle with Wendy because you can't forgive her for the things that she said when Mia has said and done worse. Mia threw a drink at you. Mia assaulted you. That's basically what she did. But yet you forgave her. And you forgave her without her really asking for an apology. You just forgave her to forgive her. I get that they're filming a show, but at what point do you allow for it to make sense? Because it doesn't make sense to me that you can forgive her, but you can't forgive Nneka. Maybe she's more upset with Nneka because she feels like Nneka tried to play her by using her as a storyline. But talk about it and just be able to be in the same space. And or tell her, look, I have no desire to sit down with you one-on-one. I think from here on out, we just need to stop talking about each other. We need to leave this here where it is and just go from there. Something like that. But I don't want to keep talking about this in now, episode 11? We see Mia and Gordon go out for lunch. They talk again about how their marriage is struggling. Bottom line is Mia is blaming him for getting kicked out of their job and then her losing her job, which then resulted into them having to move and them basically being financially strapped. He doesn't agree with her. She said that the home wasn't a hostile environment. And he's like, no, we're going to clear that up. We're not going to call it hostile. I never put my hands on you or anything like that. And she says, no. I'm not saying you put your hands on me, but it was emotionally draining at times to be with him. And I feel like you have to make statements like that clear because it's not right when you just put that out there and leave room for people to run with that story. She talks about how he said like it was his house, it was his money, and that he doesn't take accountability and he doesn't listen. That's her husband. That's who you married. And I got to be honest, I don't really feel bad for Mia. Because Mia wasn't complaining when they had all that money. More of the complaints came once that money and some of the issues arose. They then talk about Ashley and how she helped Michael during his back surgery, even though he cheated on her. And Mia says, like, there's no way I'd be doing that. And it makes me wonder if she's ever going to even get a divorce. And Gordon says he didn't think that they were going to get a divorce. Why would she want to give up her sugar daddy? And I started laughing because, Gordon, are you really listening to yourself here? Seeing as to how Mia is about to give up her sugar daddy because he's no longer producing the sugar. The sugar's not there. Meanwhile, you have Gordon who asks, what the situation would be like if it was for them, and basically says that he would try to keep it so that they were in the same home so that they can parent these kids together, and he would hope that they could find some type of deal who makes it work, which sounds odd. But if you think about it, he paid her originally to get her to even talk to him. She bragged about that $2,000. So is it far-fetched that he would pay her to stay? Nah. We then see Nneka getting ready for this unpacking party. She talks with her sister about inviting Wendy. We know who isn't coming. The different ladies arrive and they get to enjoy, I think her sparkling wine is going to be called Bordeaux. Mia's belly button really gets on my nerves. I know it's random, but I just keep looking at it like, girl, it is so obvious that you had a lot of work done on your body, and it's not like it's not aesthetically pleasing. It looks nice in some clothes, but some things I'm like, oh goodness. Giselle, who does not care for Wendy, is so concerned about whether or not Wendy is going to come. She's told by Wendy's friend Kay, as well as Karen, that Wendy said to let them know she's not coming. Giselle points out that she should have told the host. She should have. But why does Giselle care so much? Wendy then in confessional says, you called me a bee and you called my mom a witch. Why would I come to your unpacking stuff? Why would I want to unpack your stuff? It's a great point, but I just need you to say that. Just send her something and say, thank you for the invite, but I'm not going to make it. And that would have been enough. You leave room for things when you don't act as an adult would. The girl then has the lady sit down, Nneka, and she gives them stuff to unwrap. And we find out that it's her presents from 2 years ago from her wedding that she didn't unpack. And I hate when people do this because I want to know, did you say thank yous? I don't like when I give a gift and I don't get a thank you. They're all drinking and talking, and Giselle lets Karen know that she looks very refreshed, implying that she got some work done. Karen's like, where are you trying to go with this? And she's like, I'm just saying, you look really nice. You look refreshed. And then Giselle brings up, Mia, and wants to know if they're okay today, because that's Giselle's role. Because after her daughter goes to college, what is Giselle going to have to talk about? Because we don't believe in this man. So Giselle's going to do what she's supposed to do in terms of creating a little bit of friction between the ladies that she cares to speak to. Karen wants Mia to remember that she brought her into the friend group. And I've said this in other reviews for other shows. Don't talk about how you threw me a bone or how you did me a favor because you got me on the show. Your suggestion alone is not what made production decide to choose me. I still had to go through some form of process to see if I was going to be a main person on the show. So you did me no favors. You got my foot in the door, but you didn't have me all the way in there. The ladies are told that the food is ready. Karen and Mia then start up again while they're supposed to be grabbing their food. And Mia's like, we were okay, but you called me a trick, and it takes a trick to know a trick. They show a flashback of Karen supposedly being told by Mia that she heard a rumor that she was messing with a guy. And Karen says, you brought this up to me in this group for 8 years at this point. I'm starting to find it to be hysterical. If we're going to talk about rumors, let me show you how it feels. So Karen says, I never came after your marriage when I heard that you met up with a rapper. I could have also said that you're effing a married man. Karen says, but I didn't do that because it was a rumor. Mia says, if you heard it one time, it's a rumor. But if you hear it multiple times from multiple sources, then that makes me wonder. How has Mia been able to get away with so much that this is what we're talking about out of all things, this stupid thing between her and Karen? Giselle says, I never heard that rumor about Mia. And I'm like, okay, Giselle, you need to be quiet because you didn't hear that rumor supposedly about Juan either. Because Karen told us about the allegations of Juan with the Karen lookalike, and you said you never heard that, and y'all swore up and down it wasn't true, but now we know it was true. Mia says, I've been hanging out with him, but he's not a rapper, he's a DJ, and I'm not screwing him. She then tries to add that Gordon was there. Karen says, who was there? no, first she said she was dating, no, Lord, I'm jacking this up. In confession, she's like, he's not even a rapper, he's a DJ. But there she's like, I'm not screwing him. And Gordon was there with me. And Kara wanted to know, who isn't she screwing? Is she not screwing the married man, or is she not screwing the rapper? Oh gosh, I need the grand dame to just stop, with this. Tell exactly what you know, because these ladies are so quick to jump down Karen's throat or team up against her that she just needs to start spraying people left and right and say names and say whatever, because obviously it's some truth to it, because this is now what we see. Karen says, look, I don't bring up rumors to the group. Giselle says she just did. Karen says, no, this is just an example of how we need to stop doing this. Karen, you did. They play Never Have I Ever. They're supposed to write down something that they've never done that they feel like somebody in the group did, but they're lying about. Giselle reads, never have I ever paid for some form of vitamin D. Nobody answers. Ashley asks Sharice, because you're, have you? And she says in confessionals, she's a rich old divorcee, and women like that like to do things with no strings attached. The next question is, never have I ever screenshot my friend's family picture and saved it to my camera roll. You see Robin and you see Mia smirking, and this is because of the whole thing that happened a few years ago, where Robin told Mia that she saw a screenshot of herself with her parents and her kids in Karen's phone. And Karen says, I don't remember it, but I like it. And if I like it, I save it. No, Karen, no. Karen, you would have been better off saying that I had the iPhone double tap and my phone accidentally double tapped it and I didn't know, because that's happened to me. Then you saying that if you like it, you save it. To make it worse, Karen admits to having a Robin Dixon folder. It's creepy. They do a cheers, toast, whatever you want to call it, and that's it. That's it to this episode. You guys, if you have not done so already, please like the video, please comment and subscribe, and until next time.